What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless with another episode on Space Engineers, back on our Corvette build. When we left off in the last episode, we were playing around with the airlock a little bit, and I managed to kind of change it a little bit more. So I've streamlined the walls a little bit more, and taken out the extra bump over here that we had going on. I thought about going one over, but it wouldn't really work with this setup over here because this is the back frame of the hull, so that really wasn't going to work. So, I went out as far as I could and then brought it back in and brought it flush with the other wall kind of setup, so it actually matches a little bit better. I did remove the piston structure here because I want to mess with it a little bit more. The original way it was working was kind of weird. It was doing a weird little twist that when it was retracting, the squares weren't lining up straight. They were kind of like off at an angle, and I didn't really care for that. Let me jump into spectator mode here. So we did a few other things. This is kind of as it stands, the way that it is, and I think we're going to end up leaving it that way, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. I did push this wall back in a little bit. I have not done the same over here, so if you want to compare, I basically just brought the wall out to the edge here where the opening is, and closed it off a little bit closer to the rover. The other thing that I did was I actually made an air vent for the hangar so that we can depressurize before we open the door. And I brought this conveyor line closer to the wall so that we have a little bit more room to work with over here for making our piston elevator, assuming we stay with this. Now, I have made a copy of the world multiple times, including one before I made these changes to the airlock, or the elevator, but I'm kind of happier with it, and I think if we tinker with it a little bit, we can get it to look better. The other benefit to this is that this is pressurized now. So the system would end up being, you open the hatch, you get in the rover, close the hatch, and then depressurize the hangar, and then open the rover bay and drop it out. And when you're retracting back in, you would pull it back in, close the door, wait for it to repressurize, then open the hatch and get out. And then that way, I don't actually have to depressurize the hallway, which would be a good thing. Now, there is one weird side effect of something going on where all of my ceiling lights effectively are either off or dim. They're not really working, which is really odd, and I don't really know what would have triggered that. So there's that. Weird. So yeah, that's kind of the thing at the moment that's been going on, and I can't remove this block set or it's going to take the wall out. Now, a couple of people suggested to go back to the ramp since this was effectively going to be the airlock for the main hallway. I thought about that. As you can see, there's a ramp in my hotbar. But this ramp, I don't really care for it as much because of how it doesn't really go flush to other blocks. I actually did remove this ramp, and I went to put this one in just for, examining purposes to test it out and see if I liked it or not. And let me just plop it down somewhere. So I don't know if you'll be able to tell really, but when you look at the collision box... Wait, where's the... I think that's actually the bottom, now that I'm looking at it. But anyways, the collision box is a little weird on this one, and it ends up making it look a little bit odd. As you can... Okay, there's a good example right there. So you see how far out the collision box is on the edge here, that all of this is not, like, flush, which sometimes works good, because you could put an angle block there, and it would look like it's built into the wall. However, this has the opposite effect up here, where when you go to place things, you can't place them close enough to the block to actually cover up that big hole there on the side. So I'm not a big fan of using that one, and the only other real ramp that would work in this case is the original boarding ramp. Now, well, actually, I didn't even think about using these. Hold up a second. We're going to grab this lift, because I didn't know these would actually work for small blocks. So the biggest problem with this one that we had before is the length. I can't go any further back than this current elevator, and if you can see, when I line this up to where the current elevator is, I would be into the hangar already, and I am not moving that sucker again. So, that one's basically out from the get-go. Now, I haven't played with some of these before, though. Actually, truth be told, I can't even see it. I don't know what I'm looking at. Let's just do that, I guess. Okay. And let's grab, let me see if I've got one in my hotbar somewhere. I should. If I don't. Okay, I guess I don't. Need a control panel. Ah, screw it. There we are. Alright, so let's grab you. Oh, poo, I can't do this without my character. Alright, well, we're just gonna have to switch back and forth then. Because I don't feel like taking him out there. Now, here's a fun fact I did find out. If your character is targeting something, and then you go back to spectator mode and you hit the activation key, you'll actually not activate that. That's what it always did before. Okay, that's weird. I guess it's if it's... Yeah, okay, so it's if it's actually focused on it. So I don't have to actually move around, I can just hit the F key now. Which is kind of cool. Let's check out ramp and open it. Okay, so it's supposed to kind of be this way. And this is how many blocks tall? Looks to be about... It says 4, so I'm assuming it's 4. And then it goes out about... that way. That could work, actually. That could work really well. Though I do wish there was one, just one higher. The reason I wish there was one higher is because if I could do 5, I could actually go back to insetting the ramp to match the rest of this stuff, which would be pretty cool. But let's actually test this out. This is an unexpected turn for me. I wasn't planning on finding something that would work. So if I open this, where is... Now it's interesting that this hasn't freaked out yet, because there is a giant hole in the floor. I think... Ah, there it goes. Took it a minute. Alright, now where did I put... There it is. Okay, so I need it to be... One of these days I will figure out how these work. So if I put it here... Alright, let's try something just because I gotta see if it'll work or not. If I put it like this, that would be an inset height. So let's see... Oh crap! It went the wrong way. Poo. Okay. Let's not do that. Before it decides to... I'm actually surprised it didn't freak out and break anything. Alright, now this is interesting. This is interesting, because that would mean... Why can't I not highlight this? Thank you. That would mean it actually has to go here. Huh. That might not actually look that bad, even if I can't inset it. And then it goes down. Now I'd have to account for the block height. So I would have to bring the... That's something that could be problematic. I would have to bring the height out a little bit, I think. But if I'm looking at this right... Oh, that's only a 3-block clearance. Darn. Which means I'd have to either crouch or not be able to walk up the ramp. Okay. But that actually is on that block, so I would need it to be down a block then. Huh. Okay, Okay, let's try that. Now, granted, this is not going to be able to stay that way, obviously, but I'm just testing out some stuff. Okay, so that gives us a 4 block, which means I can walk up that height. So I guess what it would come down to is that every I'd have to get a point above that where it would have to come out to, and then it would probably be fine. Well, that's interesting. Now, ramp. Is there any... There isn't anyone longer than that, is there? That was the height 4. I really would... Now, this is retractable ramp. There's a... Oh, those are only for large blocks. Okay. So that's out. Interesting, though, how this works. Now, the other thing I don't know how that... So that's one to keep in mind. The other thing that I'm not sure about is this guy, which is another lift that I didn't know I had. Large ship ramp height 4 cannot be connected to a small ship. Okay, so there's... Oh, I see. It's all the blocks in one. Ah, okay. So what is it that you do exactly? I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to orient this at all. It's weird that its target point, or its mount point, is like the middle. Let's just place it and see what it does. Oh, okay, so I have it upside down. First mistake. Yeah. I probably should just turn those off. Okay, so this is kind of like the elevator we have here, but it's not an airlock, and it requires the platform to be exposed. Now, this might not be a bad option for interior, like maybe here, perhaps. An interesting idea. If I could figure out where I could mount it. Okay, so hypothetically, if I were to put that there, I could put that there, but I don't think that's tall enough. I think it's kind of like our other one, that it wouldn't end up being tall enough. It is a bit more cumbersome, too. Alright, so that's probably not going to work. So let me tinker around with this a little bit. I'm kind of interested to see if I could make these ramps work a certain way. That might prove useful. So let me see how this works, and I will get back to you guys in a second. Okay, so bottom line, I tried a bunch of different combinations, but bottom line is this is still going to be our best option at the moment, so we're going to stick with it. For the boarding ramp, I tried making my own with blast blocks and hinge. That did not go well. What else did I do? I tried using the boarding ramps, but again, it just wasn't conducive for the height. If there was a 5 to 6 block ramp for this guy, if there was like a 5 or 6 block, I could totally use this one and it would look awesome. But there isn't, at least not at the moment, so we're kind of up a creek on that one. So there's that. But yeah, so we did manage, however, let me make sure I don't speak out of turn. So we did manage to move all this stuff, but we can't move this wall anymore because of the necessary elevator thing. And this also works as a pretty good airlock, since we're kind of removing the airlock from this area, is that down here we can set up a script to where if this one's open, make sure this one's closed, you know, pressurized, blah, 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 blah. At the moment, these blocks actually seem like they're doing their own airlock thing, but just kind of one of those to be on the safe side. I'd probably still want a script running the pressurize, depressurize, or have a button here where you can click it and it'll depressurize these vents, you know, something like that. But basically, we've got a double system to where if this one's open, and this one's closed, it should be pressurized and vice versa. So that's fine. As for this, I think, I'm not positive, but I think there might be some better ways we can do it. One being we could use a wide piston, we could use... Actually, let me clear a couple of these. We're going to grab this guy. Let's see. Long, wide. The tiny, we just have to stack too much, I think. Let's try a couple of these and see what we're dealing with. I'm also going to remove that one and put this one here. I gotta see how my measurements are working here. So if I were to take that out and put this here, that's actually perfectly flush with the floor already. That's kind of cool. Okay. Now if only... Well, this is the only long piston, isn't it? So let's see just how tall it reverses to. Oh, wow. Oh, no. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Stop, please. Yeah. Okay. So, it goes very, 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 very long. So, that is fine. As long as... Please don't break anything. Please don't break anything. It broke something. What did it break? Dagnabbit. I'm so tired of things breaking on this build. It broke everything. Lovely! The reason I'm so tired of this is because it takes like 30 minutes, or... Nah, no, maybe not 30. It takes at least like 10 to 15 minutes to reload my world every time I redo something. Now, while we've got this busted, before I do anything else with it, let's adjust the max. So the max distance is 7 meters, which is not the same thing as 7 blocks, because, I mean, that should be painstakingly obvious. So, let's try, because I'll want to basically know what I'm doing before I do it, so I don't break anything. So let's try, like, 3.5. We're going to reverse it, and then while it's reversed, we're going to add a minimal of 0.05 like we have on all of our other stuff. Okay, so where does this put us at? Let me see if I can get up here. That actually looks almost perfect. I might want to go a little bit higher. Like, let's go for... maybe, I don't know, 4 would probably be too much. Let's try 3.75. I don't know what these actually are translating to because I don't remember the specific block to... I don't remember the block to size ratio. I know Space Engineers devs actually explained it at one point, and I may have to make these blast blocks for this to work, but like I said, we kind of already busted it, so before I reload it, might as well mess around and see what we come up with. I don't know if this will retract through the floor or not. Again, because of the hitbox thing. Come on, one more. Thank you. Alright, let's try it, but I don't think it's gonna work. I think that's gonna be too much. Yeah. Okay, it's too much. Now, if I were to replace these... Let's see, I know I have them on my bar somewhere. There we go. If I were to replace these with... Let me see if... I gotta make sure this is lined up right. Oh, wait, there it is. There we go. So if I were to line like this... I don't know what that would do at the corner, but on the edge it should be enough to balance out this thing. Now this is going to be a bit of an issue for a doorway, so I kind of have two options here. I can either do this way, or I can do less on these panels and do an actual door kind of thing. Oops, I did one too many there. Alright, so let's try that. And even 3.75 is a little high, so we're going to do like 3.6 and see if that works. Okay, it's still not really happy about that. I mean, it kind of is working, but it's not too thrilled. I'm thinking it might be the corners. Let's try... What did I have them on? Was it 3? There it is. So let's try a regular blast block corner. And see if... Well, that doesn't really do what I was hoping it would. That's not really what I was looking for, I guess. Maybe this would... Yeah, that's what I need. I think. Maybe. If I can get it to flip right, what the heck? Okay, where is the inset? I need the inset edge. There it is. There we go. That would work. Alright, now we're in business. I think. Maybe. Possibly. Probably not, but we'll find out. I really hope that NVIDIA driver thing isn't coming up for you guys. Let me double check that. Okay, so good news and bad news. The good news is that we got this working pretty much optimally. Now, I did make a couple of adjustments, one being I used the offset blocks. Let me see if I've still got them somewhere. They're in here somewhere, I'm pretty sure. 9, there we go. So these, with the inset on one side, I used under the platform to give me a little bit of space. However, because I didn't go out too far, I'm not sure if this is completely necessary or not, but it was kind of clanking a little bit. So at some point I'll probably try it without it, just to see if it works, but it was a easy fix if it is the problem. So I put the setting at about 0.03 for the minimal and 3.5 on the on the upper, because when I did it this way with the inset, it moves freely without any kind of conflict, which is really, really cool. And I can show you right now because we can use it. So it's pretty neat that it actually works pretty seamlessly with that offset there. That makes it pretty much perfect. So there are a couple of things. One, I like how this looks, but there's two issues that I've run into. One, this does not separate the air, which the previous elevator did, having a separate elevator with an airlock, caused this to be its own little air pocket, which we got backup everything, so that was kind of appropriate, because it was like now you have backup air sections too. So I'm kind of disappointed that that would be gone. The only other big issue I have with this, other than the fact that I haven't set up a way to do this faster yet, the only other issue I really have with it is the fact that when this is retracted, it clears more room and space down here. This looks much more open, but there's basically just a giant hole. And I'm not a big fan of that, but I don't really know what else to put there, basically. So there is that. But I'm a little torn. The bottom section I much prefer this way. Obviously, we'd end up taking this part out and it'd be fine. So the bottom section, I like this way a lot better. It's a lot cleaner, it's more open, there's more space, we could do more things with LCD panels, buttons, controls, whatever. The bad side is up here I'm not as big of a fan because it doesn't have its own floor section once this is closed, and the air is not separated like the rest of these backup systems. So I'm not really sure, to be honest, which one I actually want to go with. I can say with some degree of certainty that we've pretty much finalized our airlock down here. This is pretty much going to be the way that it's going to be. I tried too many different combinations and none of them really worked, so we're not going to do anything different here. But with that said, so the big thing here is this airlock system, or elevator system, on whether or not there's a better way to do it. And actually, I wouldn't even mind going with this system again, right here, if there was some way that, like a piston, you could extend them, but without there being a way to extend it past 4 blocks, it's really not conducive for me. But I can do it because we know if we raise this platform up a little bit, we can bring a landing pad down. Now, the fact that we got rid of this airlock, that was kind of redundant, does in fact mean that even if we went back to a standard elevator, the MCM elevator like this, we could in fact still keep this relatively simple, because all we really need to do is kind of like we did before, is right about here, you know, you add like 2 steps up or whatever it ends up being. Let's see, 6, yeah, so it'd be like 2 steps up. So, you know, you're basically just going to end up with a block here, and... Really? How did I do that one? Okay, it's not letting me... Anyways, you get the idea. So, that would be a quick fix, because we basically just do a double ramp, and then a double ramp back down over here, and call it a day. We wouldn't need all this airlock door frame stuff that we had before. So even if we went back to it, the walls could stay out a little bit more, and we would just have an elevated at the bottom type of thing. We wouldn't really have to redo too much. So that's probably what I'm going to ultimately end up going with, but I'll wait and hear what you guys think on the feedback side of things, as to whether or not you know, this is fine. I'm not a big fan of leaving this open. If there was some block that would do an inset but then had retractable glass or something, I'd be fine with it. I just don't like that it's open and unsealed. Because that way, even, you could come up here, tell it to retract the platform and close the door, and now it is its own ecosystem and stuff like that. So... not that that's really a big deal, it's just something I thought about. The other thing that I'm thinking about doing, and let me know what you guys think about this as an idea, and I may end up incorporating it into my next episode, is I don't know if these were part of the mod pack before, or if I accidentally added them in later, or what, but I have these fixed phaser weapons, right? Or laser cannon, twin laser blasters, whatever. And there's a double one. Oh, that's a 2 block. Okay. So there's a double and there's a single of these laser blasters. But I did not realize that when I researched them a little bit, apparently these fire purely off of power, which I really thought was a neat idea. Y'all know my renewable energy source, you know, fixation. I like having things like oxygen farms and solar panels and whatnot. So I thought about, in this section, since this is kind of open and doesn't really have anything here, what I thought about doing is tying it into the conveyor system, but essentially doing like this kind of thing, where it would follow the contour of the outer hull on the underbelly, and have these be extendable fixed lasers. I don't know if this will work or not, though, because this one only worked because of the 2 block height, or width. I don't know if that would work, actually, now that I'm looking at it. So I think... yeah, maybe I won't do that. I thought they were smaller than this. Because the problem would be this over here. Not so much this. This would work perfectly, because I could use... well, no, it wouldn't work perfectly, but... so I don't know. Maybe I won't end up doing that. I mean, I obviously could put like 1 here, but where's the fun in that? So that may be a next point before it goes anywhere. I just thought that would be an interesting idea to have laser weapons that wouldn't run out of ammo unless you ran out of power. Though we do have 3 of those turrets around, you know, scattered around the bridge. So, you know, maybe we don't even need them. But anyways, I think we're going to wrap things up here for this episode. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.